This video will go over the rules for treating calculations with sig figs again. That still seemed to be a bit of a sticking point in class. To begin with, when you are adding or subtracting, the weak link is the value with the fewest decimal places. You can ignore sig figs while you are adding or subtracting. Let's take a look at an example. In 378.990 minus 29.2, 29.2 has the fewest decimal places. It only has something in the 0.1's place. So therefore, we draw a dividing line and we only subtract these numbers that are to the left of that dividing line, giving us an answer of 349.7. We can then carry down our ignored decimal places, and these tell us that we need to round up because that number right there is a 9, giving us a final answer of 349.8. If you look at the sig figs in this calculation, we have 6 and 3 in our starting values, giving us an answer with 4 significant figures. This emphasizes the fact that it is decimal places that matter now, not sig figs. Let's take a look at one more example. 2.0031 plus 16.41. In this case, we're limited to the hundredths place. Draw that dividing line. We add 2.00 to 16.41 to get 18.41. We carry down our ignored decimal places, and they tell us we can round down, giving us a final answer of 18.41. Looking at significant figures, we had 5 and 4 sig figs in our starting values, and our answer ended up having 4. So to recap, your weak link is decimal places when adding or subtracting. Let's look at multiplication and division. When multiplying or dividing, your weak link is now the one that has the fewest significant figures. Decimal places don't matter. It's the opposite of addition and subtraction. Let's take a look at an example. In 9,380.3 times 2.33, we have 5 and 3 sig figs in our starting values. If we just multiply those, we end up getting 21,856.099, but we have to round that down to the number of sig figs in our weakest link. In our case, we're going to round up to 21,900, giving us those 3 sig figs we ought to have. One more example. 4.775 divided by 0.66024. We have 4 sig figs in one of our starting values. We have 5 in the other value. If we do that calculation, we get 7.23221859. We need to go down to 4 sig figs because that's our weakest link. So we round this down to 7.232. To recap, when multiplying and dividing, you care about sig figs, not decimal places. Just take a look. Up in our top answer, we don't even have any decimal places, despite the fact that we had them in our starting values. So when adding or subtracting, focus on decimal places. When multiplying or dividing, focus on sig figs, and then always make sure you round after you do your calculations to avoid propagating errors. See you guys on Friday.